Hi, John. Hello. I don't know if you can hear me already. Um, okay. I think you're still connecting, and I think we're still waiting for a couple of people. I know we've got Paul joining us, and Judy is going to join us. So I'm just going to wait a little bit for everybody to trickle in. Nice to meet you. I hope you can hear me. Hi, John. Hello. How are you? Oh, so we've got Corinne joining. Fantastic. This is probably going to be a couple of minutes for everybody to join us to come in. Hi, Corinne.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello,
Nice to meet
John.
you. Oh, yeah.
Where's Julie?
I think Judy is joining for sure. She did message, so she might be a minute later too.
Oh, okay.
And so I think she's definitely going to join. And
Okay.
we've got
Her computer is notoriously naughty.
Oh, okay.
nice to meet you.
You too.
I really like your glasses.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Hi, Sophia. Hello.
Hi.
Hiya.
How is
How's it
everyone?
going? Oh, that's Judy. I think, yes, she managed. Hi, Judy. Hello. I don't know if you can hear us already. Is that a gray square?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. No, sorry, it's just really slow because we have Microsoft. The council has Microsoft, sorry. So it's the Teams organization. So Zoom always confuses it and it takes about half an hour to work. Sorry.
Probably
Are
Microsoft
you
just
guys okay?
blocking it.
Who can I see? I can't see everyone as well on the screen at the same time. Oh, it's all people I know. I looked. Hi guys. Did you do
Hi.
introductions already, or
Oh,
can
no,
I
no.
help
We
with
were
that?
waiting.
Or
Yeah, and I think Paul is also joining us. So he's probably going to be a minute or two late. But yeah, we haven't started with introduction. We can get started. Yeah.
I know. Is Alex here yet? Because Alex
I think
Billingham
so.
is also due to join.
Not yet.
Yeah, and I basically did send the invite because it went out a little bit late because it got stuck in your inbox. I've been really busy the last 2 days, so I literally just sent as is to people, and like hopefully if people could come, they'll join in. So the time did change though, so I do worry because people maybe thought it was 2 before. So
Yes.
but yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want
So
to
we
do
wait for,
introduction?
yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to wait for Alex or do we want to get started? And I don't mind. Either way is fine.
I'm totally easy, and Paul and Marcus will join, will they, or anyone else from LGBT Sparkle, or?
Yes, exactly. Paul and Marcus will join, and it's been circulated in their group. So I'm hoping some more people will join.
Cool.
But we did have a previous session with them already. So
Oh,
yeah.
was it similar? Yeah, and this is a new project, yeah. And yeah, I knew Yasmin wanted to come. Yasmin, another artist, Yasmin Aguila Hood, and they may drop in later. But yeah, it's nice to see people. I know. Hi, Sophia. Hi, John. Hi, Corinne.
Is it okay, by the way, if I record sessions? Does that work
Yeah.
for everybody? Okay, fantastic. Yeah, maybe I can get started with introduction. I've got yeah, I feel like I've got a presentation that will talk you a little bit through the work that we do. But maybe I'll just start very briefly with me and what I do. So I'm a media artist. I'm also a researcher. I've been working for the last 15 years really with various different themes, including gender identity, but also with related themes and also different themes. So I work a lot with participatory art. So that is art where the audience plays a role in the creation process of the artwork. I work quite a lot with visual sound. So today actually is one of the first things to do. I wanted to share with you one of the art projects I've been working on recently that is just being finished, was just presented at the Barbican in London at an event that we had here. I also work quite a bit with holograms, so I've got like a media arts background where I've been working with holographic displays and anything from very small to very large, and lots of different explorations. I'll share with you a project or two from that as well. And yeah, recently I've done my very first film, which I'll hopefully get the chance to share with you later too, which is all about misconception, misrepresentation of gender and specifically of cross-dressing actually, which yeah, I was premiering also at the Barbican. So yeah, it's a bit about me. I should also say I'm also a curator. So today I'm here as one of the founders of Art and Flux, and maybe I'll tell you a bit more about what that organization is and what we do. But it's mainly a media artist platform where media artists come together and share their ideas and their thoughts. And we focus specifically on underrepresentation in the arts and in media arts, and that is underrepresentation of queer and LGBTQ artists, but also of other underrepresented groups. We've worked a lot with neurodiverse artists, with BAME communities. Yeah, so the key is really that we work quite a bit with larger organizations, and we're hoping to be a bit of facilitator between emerging artists, upcoming artists, but specifically underrepresented artists in these larger organizations. Yeah, so that's maybe a bit about me. Should we do an introduction round? I would love to hear from you, your background. And
Yes, while you guys do that, I just want to let you know, so Alex can't get on with the link.
oh,
So I'm going to try and just in the background while you do introductions, like email her, because I think it would, she really wants to come and I think it would be very relevant for her. So I'll try to send the link again some way. I know for me there was like a two-stage process almost, so it might be they're trying to access on their phone. So I'll try and do that if you guys want to continue. Just I'm doing that in the background while you introduce yourselves.
thanks, Judy. I don't know if there's anything.
And you all know me, and you're fed up hearing from me. Everyone knows me, so I don't need to do one.
No, we like hearing from you, Julie. Don't be silly.
True. Yeah. But yeah. So shall we do the rounds? Is John, you're the next one on my screen. I don't know. It's probably different for everybody. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is John Slee. My pronouns are he, him. I am a learning curator and art historian. My specialism is fine arts, community engagement, bringing artworks to the lived experience of communities for their advocacy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, super interested to hear also about your own curatorial background and your DC background. So hopefully we'll get the chance to hear more about it during the session today.
I'm a beautiful hybrid of both worlds, I hope.
Fantastic. I can relate very much. Hi, Sophia. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi. So yeah, I'm Sophia. I'm an artist. I work with all natural, like botanical materials, but I also work with asylum seekers. So I have a CIC, and we try to merge like nature, art, and the outdoors like together.
Fantastic. What's the name of the CIC, if I may ask?
The Traveler's Tree.
Fantastic. Is there a link? Maybe is it possible to share that in the chat?
Yeah, I'll share it in the chat. Yeah, sure.
She needs to get better at self-promotion. I'll do it for you otherwise.
Yeah, please do that.
No, it's so relevant, and so today I present works by two artists who are migrants, and we're part of the exhibition. So hopefully that's going to be interesting for you. Yeah. Corinne, yeah, you're the next one.
Okay. So my name's Corinne, and I'm I mainly take photographic self-portraits from bed because of my illness, mental illnesses, and physical disability have confined me here most days for the last 5 years. But I've been lucky. I think I've met John, Julie, and Sophia in person on a rare trip out this year. So I've been very lucky. Very briefly met Sophia. It was just a hello, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. Yeah. I think thanks also for sharing your experience, and because I think we can. I mean, for me personally speaking, in my art practice and also in my research, I've been looking quite a bit at well-being, and I think it's so important to connect your practice also with that, and it seems like that's something that you're doing. So Paul is just joining, so I'd meet him. And I don't know if you met Paul already. Yes, you have. Hi, Paul.
Yeah, so just so that you're aware, Olive, that John was consultant and has worked with us on Hearing Queer, so knows Paul, and Corinne also worked on the Hearing Queer project as well.
Oh, fantastic. And I can't wait to see it.
Hi, Paul.
Yes.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Oh, good. We're just doing introductions, and Julie tried to escape from the introduction, but I'd love to maybe.
Well, Connie don't know me and Sophie. I'm Paul Ryder and my partner Marcus Cottrell that run LGBT Sparkle, because I've never met you before, so I thought I'd introduce myself and Marcus.
Great, is Marcus joining as well? Yeah.
No, he's having a bit of a nap. He's tired. All day today.
All right, you're representing for the two of you.
Yeah, I'm representing us both. You're right, John. You're right.
I'm good, Bab. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. How's you, Julie?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yep. Corinne's an artist. Sorry, because you just came in at the last minute. So Corinne's an artist but they've also worked on Hearing Queer. Yeah, and Sophia is another queer artist who we work with at the gallery on different projects. Currently, actually linking with you, Paul, because I know we're having a catch up with Rachel at some point. So Sophia is actually one of the artists that works on, it all links up, doesn't it? I've talked about this before, on the A Sense of Place project that we mentioned before in our last meeting. So Sophia actually worked
doing a
on
project called Creative Something, weren't it? That's it.
Yeah, with Creative Health. Yeah, so Sophia's working on that. So you might catch up again at some point. But lovely Alex, I don't know why she can't join us. I sent another link. Oh no, can you see this?
Oh,
Alex is sad.
no.
No way. Is there anything I can do?
Could she try and go on to the Eventbrite page and then register?
Okay, right. I'll try.
Because then on the Eventbrite page you have to press details and then you can like register. If it doesn't work the other way.
Have you got her email address? Maybe send the direct link like Oliver did to me. That might help.
So I have.
We've tried that.
Oh, have you?
So the Eventbrite we'll try.
I was just trying to help.
If there's any setting that I can change, but it's just a standard Zoom setting, so I didn't make it overcomplicated. But it's sometimes Zoom has this tendency.
Like Sophie, she struggled to get on. It could be the internet connection. It could be numerous things.
Yeah, I was blaming the gallery's Wi-Fi because she's actually artist in residence, so trans-femme disabled artist in residence at the moment, and I was blaming the gallery, but she said no, it's not the Wi-Fi, it's the link on their phone. But I don't know whether their phone has particular blocking. I don't know.
Oliver, have you showed the photos to Connie and Sophie of the drag yet?
No, the photos are part of the online exhibition, which I want to present to you in a second. Exactly. Yeah. So maybe, if that's okay, I'm going to share my screen again and just tell you that's a brief bit about Art in Flux, and then I'll share the exhibition with you, and then and also give you a bit of context. So basically what we were hoping to do is to work with you on thinking a bit together on what kind of representation we want as individuals. Alex is joining. I think we've got Alex here now. I can see
That's
them.
coming up.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've never met Alex. Is it Alex?
You're here.
Hi,
Alex,
hi Alex. Thanks
can you
for
hear
joining.
and see us? We can see you.
It's connecting to audio at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, you should be able to hear us now. Hi, Alex.
Because maybe at the end, Alex can flash a look at the studio and the amazing work she's producing in there at the moment. So,
Wow.
yeah, you can join us.
Stunning. Can you hear us as well? Yeah. And if you unmute yourself, you can introduce yourself. We'd love to hear a bit about your work.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Billingham. I'm currently at the New York Gallery of Warsaw. So I'm going to do the horrible screen movie thing so you can have a look
Oh, amazing.
at the studio and all the weird bits and pieces.
Fabulous work taking place in there.
So yeah, I got them to paint it all bright orange because I'm a diva. So why
I
not?
like the bright colours. I do like bright colours.
Yeah, me too.
Currently working on this.
What's that piece of project work? What's that? I'm intrigued what that is.
Well, it's all linking together, but it's a lot to do with transuranic elements and trans joy and stuff. So yeah, anyway,
Cool.
enough about me.
Wow, fantastic. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to see it. Is this open to the public sometime soon?
Basically, the studio's open so people can look through the window and sort of see all the bits and pieces. It's a residency that's going on until January the 8th. Just to check the window, so they can come and have a look at the window. If people want to book like sort of studio visits with me, they absolutely can do. That's fine. And then there'll be an outcome shared in Karachi in February, and then an additional bit which I can't talk about. But there will be a public sharing in the future, which I can't do.
There's an exhibition on floor 4 next year.
Julie can
Is that
tell
what
me.
you're not saying?
Oh, Julie.
That's what I can't say. Julie said it. So it's fine.
Okay, next year. Me.
I think that's
Oh, sorry.
public knowledge.
Julie,
Well,
can you hear me?
yeah.
Me and Oliver and what's her name, Sophie, want to come. So maybe after the first week in January, we can put something in our diaries, and then come
Yeah,
and
and maybe Alex. Yeah, Alex will hopefully be there as well. We can arrange
There's
to
no
meet
point
with her.
planning it now because we don't even know what we're going to do next year.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to, absolutely love to see the work in the flesh. Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it myself. I'd love to.
Okay, so maybe I'll just get started. So I've got a couple of things prepared. So now I don't know how to share my screen. Why is that? I wanted to talk just a little bit about what we do with Flux, and then the kind of concept behind the Flux and the genesis, and also what we're hoping to achieve with it. So with Flux, it's basically the three of us. It's Maria and Afra and myself, and we're all from underrepresented groups. So I mean, I identify as non-binary. I'm queer. Maria is queer, and then Afra is from a diverse background. And the three of us, we kind of pulled together. We've met in the kind of London media arts and underground scene, and we felt there was a need for artists to collaborate more together and to work together more strongly. And as we tried to figure out what it is what we want to focus on, we realized that really we have such a massive deficit in terms of representation in the arts. So a lot of the artists that we work with are from underrepresented groups or having representation as a theme within their practice. And a lot of the artists are focusing also on technology. And we have kind of grown a network from initially a couple of a dozen artists to now more than 3,000 artists. So it's quite a lot, and it's really a peer-to-peer network. We're trying to provide support to each other by providing a platform for each other, but also by having discussions. So last night we had a social where we were basically, it was like a meetup where emerging artists and established artists were just talking to each other about themes of gender representation and difficulties of representation in some of these institutions. And these are some of the institutions we've been working with over the last years, some bigger ones and some smaller ones. Specifically, I think that's where we see our role as being a really small organization, a bit similar to the work that Paul is doing. I think we have an agency, like we have the opportunity to, knock on the doors and say, hey guys, you have a problem, you need to address this. And we did that very effectively, for instance, with the National Gallery. So the National Gallery, we had a 3-year residency where we had different themes that we brought to the fore. And some of these themes were around the use of data, then health and mental health was something that came up. Shifting Ground was all about cultural heritage and representation in the National Gallery, which doesn't really exist. Reclaimed was all about underrepresentation of minority groups. And Genderfuck was my event, and that was the very first one, and that was really about gender and representation. So the National Gallery, for instance, has a huge problem with representation. They know it. They're actually doing a really good job at addressing it. There's about 2,300 artworks on display in the National Gallery, or in the collection, but only just about 30 are from women, and there's literally no visibility at all of trans or non-binary or queer artists. It's difficult for them because it's a historic collection, but equally is something that still needs discussing. And so that's kind of what we try to do with Genderfuck, is to provide a forum for emerging and contemporary artists to present their works in relation, in connection to the National Gallery's collection. And it was really successful. It was the very first event for us, and we had hundreds of people all online. It was one of the biggest events for the National Gallery too, and we were so happy with it. And the talk is now online. And so kind of what we wanted to do is to continue these discussions in our socials, but also in these workshops, like the workshop that we're doing now, to see where we can take it. And the original event happened during the lockdown, so we were not really able to have any public facing physical activity. And that's kind of what we're planning to do now. So really what we were hoping to do is to guide you around the physical exhibition, a bit like Alex just did now, to just show you around. But the venue that we are working with, Ugly Duck, which is an alternative queer space in London, fantastic actually, it's beautiful, large space near London Bridge. And they had a ceiling water damage last week. And so we had to cancel the physical event, unfortunately, or not cancel it, but postpone it. And instead put on an online exhibition, which we'll be sharing with you. So these are some of the previous exhibitions. We're usually doing at least one larger exhibition per year. And this year we had a larger one at the British Computer Society. We've done one at the V&A. We have done one at the Royal College of Art. And so exhibitions are kind of important part of what we do, although we're all practicing artists and not just curators. So yeah, this is so some of the artists, I'm going to talk you through some of the artists that are part of this exhibition, and also my own work, which you'll see in a second. And as I said before, like what we're trying to do is really create a peer-to-peer network rather than just a curatorial strategy in that sense. So these are some of the pieces that you'll see in the exhibition, and maybe I'll talk you through more when you see it in the virtual exhibition. But it's I work quite a bit with brainwaves, for instance, and the piece on the left is about body dysmorphia, and it's using brainwave detection to modulate and a 3D body scan of my body, and you can see it as a 3D sculpture in a bit. And I work a lot with identity and also kind of the problems of portrayal of masculinity and this ideas and misconceptions of masculinity always having to be functional and almost like a cyborgian concept that we have of and also the body cult that is very prevalent in the gay community too. And I'm also showing a new artwork, which is a remake of a 1980s film by Brian De Palma, and it is trying to retell the story a little bit from the point of view of 2022. And yeah, there's reframing discussions around cross-dressing and misrepresentation of cross-dressing in Hollywood film. The other artist who is involved is Peter Eibriger. He is working a lot with gender and sexuality, actually. His practice is about embodiment, and so he works a lot with yoga practices, and that feeds into his work. So he's doing a lot of drawing and watercolor. He also has a designer angle to his work, so he's been doing a lot of, you can see some of the beautiful tiles that he's designed behind him in the image. And he's showing some of his work in the exhibition. There's Atelier Rococo. They were also artists in residence at the National Gallery, and this is a fantastic series that they created during lockdown. So a lesbian couple that were locked in, and Drusilla Burrell, she's a photographer, and Magdalena Celeste is a designer, and so a fashion designer, and together they restaged images in the National Gallery's collection from their point of view. So incredible work, and yeah, this was commissioned by the National Gallery, and it's really exciting. You also see a work by Kimatica, who are one of the probably most radical media arts collectives in London. And Maria Armena is showing a piece that is called Laser Grinder, that is a very personal piece, which features a laser penis, which yeah, is kind of interesting. And so Natalia Casali and Alberto Huig, they're both artists who are migrants. Alberto was actually deported twice from the UK, and he picked up mosaic work during this deportation process, and is a very young emerging artist, and absolutely fantastic work that is talking about queer themes, really. So I'll tell you a bit more about this work. And here we go. We've got the fantastic Paul Ryder and Michael Cotterill here that are going to show their work as well. As part of
you know,
this
sorry,
exhibition.
Oliver, you know, because you put our names, are you going to put our drag names underneath there so people know who we are, our drag names as well?
Of course, it is actually in the exhibition. You'll see your
Oh,
drag.
is it? Okay, sorry.
Yes, let's go there now, because I feel like I've done a lot of talking. I'll put the link in the chat. So there's various different ways of accessing this. There's also a QR code if it's easier for you. But this link here, I've just put it in the chat, should work for you. And I will also share my screen in the exhibition. 1 second, let me just reshare my screen. Up. How do I do that? Yes. Are you able to access that link? Does it work for you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now.
So you should be able to click on Enter Exhibition.
Okay.
I will share my
I'm
screen
not
too.
sure how
It's
to
probably
do that.
easier.
I don't know how to do
And
that.
then you can use either the
I got it.
cursors or these buttons to navigate around the space. And so we quite liked working with 3D exhibitions, mainly during lockdown. We've experimented a lot with different formats and different ways to work with virtual exhibitions, mainly because, yeah, a lot of people, I mean, during lockdown were confined to the bedrooms, and like Corinne, were not able to actually physically see art. And we need art, not just as a form of self-expression, but also as a cultural experience and to share our experiences. So this is one way that is very non-invasive, we find, to experience art. And it's yeah, I came to really love the format, as both as a curator and as an exhibiting artist. And I should say there's lots of different ways of working in 3D space, right? So you've got VR experiences, you've got 360 experiences. What I like about this one is that anybody can access it from their phones or from wherever, and then it's very easy to navigate through them and to look at some of the artwork. So this quill, for instance, is actually a tapestry that is exactly these dimensions. So it's about 2 meters high by 1 meter 20, and it's a piece that talks about is the idea of sexual healing, I should say. So it's name is Penetration of the Heart, and it's about a tantric practice that talks about stimulation of the heart and the process of healing through sexuality. And this is a piece by my co-curator, by Peter Eibrucker, who is really working quite a bit with kind of this yoga as a therapeutical practice. And I'm just going to navigate through the space a little bit, and obviously feel free to do that on your own browsers. These are more of Peter's drawings. So he's doing a lot of drawings that are also talking a bit about his own background. So Peter is quite open about the fact that he had that he was basically a sex addict, and so some of these problems he's worked through his art, and so these pieces are called, it's a series called Public Pubic, or 1 and 2, and you can see this and these ideas of the peeping Tom, of the glory hole, of this idea of looking through a hole to see something else. And so a lot of his drawings are exploring these themes and are also trying to come to terms really with his addiction that he's now successfully battled and yeah, come to terms with. Yeah, so here, this is the fantastic work by Atelier Rococo. It's so opulent and so magnificent, and yet, you know, these were created during the lockdown when we didn't have access to much, and so these images were taken in a very small confined space, and they're basically reenacting some of the portraits of power that are usually depicting male, cis white men in positions of power in the National Gallery's collection. And so this is a comment on this depiction of power and a subversion, really. This piece is called Little Versailles, and it's a take on Louis XIV, the French Sun King, and you know, it's basically reenacting these scenes. Magdalene Celeste was creating the outfits herself, and Priscilla was photographing it while starring in it. And I'm just so excited about these works because they're just so, you know, so powerful and so political, and yeah, I feel like the message is just really strong. This one is called Gainsborough, and it's again a comment on a painting in the collection of the National Gallery. I know I need to speed up because we're going to run out of time otherwise. This is one of my own works. I mentioned it before, this idea of toxic masculinity and this need to always conform and to be functional, and also this rampant body cult in the gay community. I did want to share with you, I hope, maybe I should put a disclaimer here. So this is a bit more of an explicit piece, so I hope that's okay with everybody. If you don't want to see it, that's fine. I will only show a couple of minutes, but this is part of Maria Almena's work called Laser Grinding. It's a performative piece, and it's a documentation of this performance, and she created this laser penis and laser bra that she is performing herself. Okay, I'll let you watch the rest in your own time. So here we've got two stars of the show, Bianca Farkut-Nonikas and Tiffany Sparkle. And I'm super excited about this because this is really why we're having this workshop, because I would love yeah, for this next installation of Genify, which will happen probably in London initially, and hopefully will tour. I would love for this to have a communal aspect and for artists from across the UK to be involved in whichever capacity they'd like to be. I mean, I should really say this is all about kind of expression of self, expression of identity, discussions around gender. And yeah, the hope is that today we can do a bit of brainstorming about maybe your own practices, maybe other artists that you can think of that you feel could be relevant and important to discuss. And yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so much, Paul, and also to Marcus for being involved.
I'm smart. When I saw that, I smiled. I really like that.
I love
it wouldn't
it.
let me load it on my computer. It was crashing. So I screenshot it. So I'm going to put the link on our Facebook page.
Yes, I will screenshot it now for you. And I one
But
second.
like I said, with drag, anything can be art form. But a lot of people think, oh, drag's just drag, but drag's an art form. So I'm glad that you've collated that with that, which is great.
Absolutely. And you know, the plan was actually for you, if possible, to be physically there. And maybe it's a blessing that the ceiling collapsed at Ugly Duck, because it means that we will have the opportunity to have a physical exhibition in spring.
What,
and
it
at that point,
collapsed? What are you ceiling?
the ceiling came down. Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
why we
God.
have an online exhibition now, because really we were supposed to have this physical exhibition. And I wanted to, you know, actually ideally have you there, but having we have to postpone it now, right? So we will have a physical exhibition later next year, and I
Definitely,
would love
we'll be
for
back there.
Marcus and you to be there physically. Yeah,
I'm
as,
sure Julie would like to be there as well, wouldn't you?
yes,
And John.
please. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and Alex as well. Sorry, I missed you out. And Alex as well. Sorry.
I'm almost done with the exhibition tour. I'm just gonna finish off. So, whoops, we have to go around here. I'm not very good at navigating. Oh,
I was doing that on my phone.
yeah. So, yeah, a couple more pieces. So this piece in the middle, this is the brain fact work, and this was also created during lockdown, and I felt I'm increasingly uncomfortable in my body, and I wanted to talk about this discomfort. And so I did a 3D body scan, and what you see is a kind of deformation that is using my brainwave pattern as a basis for the deformation. So it responds to my brainwaves moving, and yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit disturbing. So if it feels a little bit like if it looks like a brain fact, then that's exactly because that's what it's supposed to be. And yeah, just to finish off, there's this is the work by Albert Hewitt, who is this young emerging artist who has now been deported to Mexico for the second time, I should say, which is just unheard of. The first time he was stuck in a deportation center for 3 months during COVID. He then sued the government actually for that, because it was actually unlawful to keep him there for so long. And they couldn't send him away because of COVID, because flights were not going. And during that time, he picked up mosaic work. And this piece is called Human Centipede, but it's actually about the fact that very often we mistake sex for being just a physical act, and that actually it's something that our brains are very much engaged in. And so this talks about this connection of brains and the fact that yeah, sex is also and for him predominantly also about an emotional and a cognitive connection. So I really love this work, and you can see it here now, but it's actually, it sparkles a lot in the light, you know, because it's full of these really reflective shiny materials, and yeah, just beautiful.
Oliver, Alex has put a comment in the chat, so I don't know if you want to answer that.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you for flagging this up.
You're welcome.
My piece, the brain fact, Alex. So it's a hologram actually. So it's a small holographic pyramid. So I don't think you were there when I explained, but I work quite a lot with holographic displays, and they're just Pepper Skulls type holograms. So they're, you know, small projection pieces, and so it exists as a physical sculpture where it's projected into this Pepper Skulls display, and it kind of hovers there and does its thing. But when I first showed it, I showed it at Burning Man Festival. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And they had really effectively during lockdown a virtual Burning Man. And so it was actually first a virtual piece where it was just virtually doing its thing. And then it had a physical form eventually. Yeah. Yeah. Just to the final artist. So this is another piece by Peter Eibrucker, the co-curator, which is yeah, it's a beautiful watercolor piece that again talks about sexuality and coming to terms with yeah, his sex addiction. And this is a piece by an Argentinian artist called Natalia Casali, who's actually a filmmaker. And these pieces are absolutely gorgeous because they glow in the dark. So the piece on the left is called the Aciverse, and it's basically a yeah, it is what it says on the tin, I guess. And the other one is a piece about nipples, and both of them, they have this ability when the lights go dark, they just start to glow magically, and they're really serene. So I hope that I can show you these in a physical form at some point. And then the final piece that I have here, because we need to now go and leave this beautiful exhibition, I think, is a piece up. That is the remake of the film Dressed to Kill, which was really controversial in 1980 because it's just taking this myth about cross-dressing being a mental illness that existed in the 1980s. You know, it was there's a long tradition from Psycho to this film and to Silence of the Lambs, where cross-dressers were always depicted as psychopaths, and it's trying to retell the story from yeah, modern day point of view. And so the film is a short film, but along with the film, there's 2 VR versions where you can see a reenactment of this very famous opening scene from the film, and you can live it from 2 perspectives. And it's essentially a chase through a museum. Yeah, I hope that you'll all have the chance to see it at some point. Hopefully at Ugly Duck next year. So I think that's probably plenty to start our discussion. What I would love to do is to have a bit of a think together about, yeah, different types of expressions of gender and gender identity, and also to hear from you what yeah, how, if you're in your own practice, if expression of gender is a theme, is something that you're already working with, and also if you might be interested to show your work or to develop new work around this theme. So I know sometimes it takes a bit of time to express this, but I will put a link also in the chat, which is essentially a Mentimeter, because we can all kind of contribute to that, and then maybe at the end share. And yeah, but I also wanted to ask you, and maybe if that's okay, Alex, I would love to start with you to hear a bit about your own practice.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I'll just turn so you're not getting quite so much sun. A lot of my practice deals with being trans and being disabled and a few other things, and the sort of intersectionality of all of that. I think I'll limit myself to what I'm doing currently rather than just spooling into infinite. The projects I'm currently out in the research is very much focused around trans joy and finding that trans and queer joy in life while acknowledging all of the pain and the suffering. And the way I'm kind of getting my head around it is to use the moon and the lunar cycle as a kind of template for the narrative of transness, and then using the moon as a symbol for trans knowledge, and then a mirror ball as a symbol for the moon and trans knowledge. So it's to do with this idea of sort of burying trans knowledge and redigging it up, and when you have to hide it and when you have to share it, and when it's safe and when it's unsafe. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm currently at, and practically it's going to be a film piece, but quite a long sort of film piece. Yeah.
So fascinating and so interesting and so important too. I was you know, I feel we have a tendency sometimes to not acknowledge the joy and to just talk about the pain, and it is important to talk about the pain, but I also really appreciate the focus on the positives, and I think it's so important to do that. I was also reminded, I was wondering if you know about the artist Michael Wuna. I recently curated an exhibition for SOAS Brunei Gallery, and this is an American artist who is Nigerian, and obviously in Nigeria, homosexuality is forbidden in some states by law, and with a death penalty, and cross-dressing is also highly problematic. So there's a law that is currently debated in the government, and Michael Wuna is an American artist who talks a lot about yeah, gender fluidity and queerness in Africa. And he talked a lot about the moon cycle and spirituality of transness. And so I think could be an interesting artist to look into. Yeah, a very different direction to yours, but I think there could be interesting, conceptual overlaps.
Definitely. No, thank you for that. It's yeah, and the artist that I'm twinned with is in Karachi, where obviously there's a lot of legal issues. So I'm having to obviously support them, not having to, but I'm supporting them. But also it's kind of thinking about how the work will be able to exist there. They're not having any of the explicit language or necessarily any of the explicit imagery, and trying to come up with additional visual trans language that people can tap into, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've been to Karachi, and I've been there with my sister, and it was already hard to be, a young single woman at the time for her. I can't even imagine how difficult it must be to be and a trans woman in Karachi. So yeah, really important work. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. I'll let somebody else
Hand up. Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, Amy. One of the things that I mentioned to you and Julie is representation around LGBT and disabilities. Because it's been on the news. I think it was on the BBC about people are getting. I don't know if this person was LGBT, but as a whole, it can affect everyone, especially the LGBT community as well. Around where people are sort of hateful against people with disabilities and get abuse in the street and stuff like that. Whether they're got hidden disabilities or they're noticeable. I think we should be doing more to raise awareness of that in some sort of way, which I've spoke to Julie about and Oliver himself, that there's people that with disabilities and it's not spoken about enough. So I think maybe we could do something or link it in what you're doing.
I would love that. I think it's so important, and I think it's something, as you said, there's not enough discussion around intersectionality, and I think neurodiverse artists historically are also massively underrepresented, and it's only starting to be discussions around that. So yeah,
I had an idea, Oliver. I don't know if we'll be able to do it, like a mini play or something that represents people with disabilities from the LGBT community. It's just an idea that popped in my head.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
I don't mean like a proper film, like a mini play or something that represents LGBT and disabilities. It just had a brainwave. It's like ticked in my head. It's like, that's an idea. Little mice going round in my head at the moment.
I love it. Yeah, so I think that this is, especially something more complex like a play, it'd be great to maybe start to think about it now, and then see how we can develop it. And sometimes it helps to have a deadline or have something specific on the horizon that you can work towards. Yeah. How about you, Corinne? Can I ask you about your practice?
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit shy today, but I'll give it a go. Lums mainly take self-portraits, so from bed, and I'll put my Instagram link in a minute so it'll make more sense. So mainly black and white self-portraits that explore my experience of confinement, and I print them out and I hand color them on top of them with art materials, paint and stuff. And I've got work in the Hearing Queer exhibition, Haven't I, Julie, that I produced in response to Vincent van Gogh's Sorrow piece, because I have problems with fertility and I identify as gender fluid. So a lot of my work is related to my gender identity, because when I was a child and my periods first started, I felt this sense of stress and unease, really, because at the time I wrongly assumed that girls had long hair and that boys had short hair, because, you know, that's what I'd been taught. So I didn't want to be a girl, so I started pulling out my hair, which resulted in me developing a hair pulling disorder. So I wear wigs now because of that. And at the moment, I only create self-portraits each month whilst I'm sort of having my period, as this sort of form of therapy. And soon I'll be starting a residency with a place called Level Centre to work with neurodiverse artists. And I'll be making well, I'm calling it a period survival quilt. So basically every month during my period, I'm going to sew daisies on there, because when I was younger, only friend I had, she was imaginary and her name was Daisy, and we created this magical world called Daisyland. And it was this place where I could escape my difficult childhood and a place where I could be openly queer, really. Hope that makes sense.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Connie.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, sorry.
That's fine.
I just looked at your work and it looks absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Really, really beautiful. And I think there's so many subjects that you're touching on, and it's very brave to talk about these things.
Thank you.
And I think also inspirational for others, and especially the focus on well-being through art, I think is so important. And I mean, for me as well, I think art has helped me to recalibrate and redefine over and over. And this, yeah, such an important vehicle, I think, for self-expression. I'm gonna follow you moving forward. Yeah. Sophia, I'd love to hear also from you about your practice and your work with the CIC. Yeah.
So the two works kind of merge sometimes, but all my work is about like this like fluidity that exists in nature, and the mutualism and mutability that's in nature, and how it translates into like our society, and in what ways do they merge, and in what ways are they similar, and what ways are they different.
I was thinking about nature, because I think nature can be very therapeutic as well, birds and stuff like that. And gardening is my happy place, and I could spend hours in it. But obviously Marcus doesn't like gardening, but when I'm in my garden and the world of my own, it's like my happy place to be.
Yes, like, so even in the queer community, there's a lot of push that being queer is not natural. That's like the sort of very right wing, very conservative like point of view. But then 90% of plants are queer. Most plants are asexual, bisexual, have both genders, are androgynous,
and that's with animals as well, isn't it? Animals.
Yeah, but I feel like when there's this like conversation about like, oh, being queer is natural, and then they like put you up against like a monkey, it's not really helping your cause.
No. It was
there's
an example.
Nothing wrong with that, but it's
an example.
But in nature, people just are always at peace. Like no matter how detached you are, there is always like a sense of like that is the ground of like how base, like our ancestors come from there, whoever we are, and yeah, so and plants have this way of being fluid, whatever you are. And So I'm looking a lot at what the idea of home. So I work a lot with asylum seekers who are in temporary accommodation only. So, and because of how the system works in the UK, asylum seekers, there's not enough houses basically. So asylum seekers, after they've come out of the detention centres, they'll be put into a hotel, and then they'll just be waiting, and they don't know if it's going to be a month, a year, 2 years, whatever. They just don't know. And so it's this, like, where is home when you're just in a limbo state? But then there's also like when you're going through like gender dysphoria, and if you genuinely don't, like, if your home is like might be uprooted, or you have everyone has like their idea of what home can be, but then if we strip everything away, our home should be our body. But then in gender dysphoria, where is our home? And so I work with like leaves and branches and plants, or like clay that I've sourced from the ground.
People say if you hug a tree, that helps or something. Hug a tree, and to me, it's like, what? Hug a tree, and it's supposed to help you or something. You hug a tree. Someone told
I
me.
don't know. To be
To me, it
honest,
sounds balmy, but it's like, but apparently this professional said to me, I googled it. I don't know, something, if you hug a tree, I don't know if it helps with your
it
anxiety or
works.
something. If you're feeling down or something, hug a
Mm.
tree. A professional told me. I was going,
I guess.
Maybe not literally, but I think, you know, like, is it called earthing, when you take off your shoes and you just step on the soil and you kind of feel the earth, and you kind of, I don't know, there's something actually grounding, I think, about that. And yeah, I can very much relate to what you were saying, Sophia, really. And yeah, I think it's really important work. So do you go to these deportation centers too? How do you work?
So I don't work with deportation centres, mainly because
Okay.
you're not allowed in. I work with refugee hotels in Birmingham and in the West Midlands. I work closely with someone who works for Migrant Help that has not got a good rep, but there are like sometimes one good person and a bad company. And she sends me to the hotels that like have less help from other charities. So there's like hundreds of refugee hotels. So I usually go to them, and then we do a workshop from there, and always outside the hotel. That is also quite rare, because most organizations will work within the hotel. That doesn't, in my opinion, help that much, because that is where the stress is. So we always go outside, always link it with nature and being active. And
great to show some of these works, I think, also in London, if there's the opportunity. Yeah, I'd love to invite. I mean, the beauty of Agidaka as a space is it's a very large space and it's very accommodating. So we could, you know, it would be fantastic to show really like some of these outputs of these workshops, if you'd be up for it. Yeah.
hopefully we'll be starting a very big one with 20 asylum seekers for like 2 months, actually working on this like idea of home, and we'll have a therapist there just in case, and it's all like very well planned. So hopefully that'll be happening in spring.
Congratulations on the new funding, by the way.
Yeah.
congrats.
Olive, I was wondering if you wanted to say anything about like the funding that you got from Arts Council, because is that feeding into these workshops and that project and exhibitions?
So it's a bit of a two-sided sword, because we didn't get the big funding from the Arts Council that we were applying for. Right? We applied for the exhibition funding, and we were prepared to do it nevertheless, because we really wanted to do it like a you know, like a larger exhibition. But we are.
So you got a smaller pot instead, did you? Did you get some money? No.
Teensy, exactly, to do the Barbican event and to do but the actual exhibition money, unfortunately not. And I'm a bit concerned, but I think with Ugly Duck, what we do have is we've got a partner who's there to do an exhibition with us regardless, and we will reapply for like the larger pot proper. So that's something that we want to do. Yeah, it's been actually a bit frustrating, because there's been a lot of prep work behind the scenes on kind of trying to get the exhibition off the ground, but we will, and with I think we've got the right kind of networks in place, and yeah, so that's my hope, is that reapplying, we're gonna get it. And we have a good funding history with the Arts Council, so I think it's just a question of reapplying and going for it. Yeah. So we've got a small teensy pot of funding that helped with the National Gallery exhibition and the Barbican, and in theory, like the exhibition, the virtual exhibition that you've seen, but the physical exhibition, unfortunately, no, we didn't get that funding. Yeah. Yeah, so before we wrap, because it's already 2, and I know we'll probably, sometimes it's good to stick to time and then also plan for the future. I would love to hear from John briefly about your own practice, and then share with you the word cloud.
One of the things that, 2 things jumped out in terms of the work I'm doing currently that struck me about the exhibition. Firstly, I do a lot of work with historical fine art, and I think drawing attention to the deficit that you mentioned, particularly at the National Gallery, I think is really important, because it's a driver for opportunity and a call to action for contemporary queer artists to create, drawing attention to the absence and holding that absence, which I think is really important. There's an article for Art UK about queeros and know your queeros, and I think that's really important. I think particularly in terms of the deficit of visual arts that we have as queer communities, when we find representation historically, we can almost be too desperate to hold on to it, or there are ethics involved in terms of the projection of contemporary identity over queer people from the past. And I think that might be really interesting to explore, that there is a hunger for representation. Therefore, arguably, sometimes we accept a representation of some really incredibly awful people in the past who were queer, but because we have so little to rely on, we project them as heroes or queeros. And I think manifestations of our own heroes, I think, is a really beautiful conversation to have. I think particularly in terms of the works that you showed, not reliant on queer sociology, we become our own heroes and we build our own identities as such. And I think that is something quite beautiful. The other thing that struck me was the potential for people to access your content in countries where it's illegal. And I think particularly, as you said, with the roof coming in is an awful moment, but it's also quite a beautiful opportunity that you've digitized with grace and with care. And I think concepts around accessing these on people's terms when it's illegal to do so, I think particularly not capturing people's IP addresses, making sure that there are conversations around access, that these are resources that are very powerful to people, but simultaneously are, whereas I clicked on that link with no fear whatsoever, a number of people in other countries would not. And there is so much at risk just by clicking on the link that you gave us. I think there is a power and a moment in that that could be explored further. I think particularly as well, notions around...
Can I just chip in there, John?
Sorry, yeah.
Can I just chip in? It's like, I know a lot of people with disabilities, whether you've got a disability or not, virtual is not always accessible for people. But one of our members that joins Julie, I can't think of her name now, Jane, because obviously she's got disabilities and she finds it easier to do things online. Like I said, you're not going to please everyone, but some people that have got disabilities, that's really accessible for Jane to look at things online, or like at our meetings on Zoom. It's like I said, one box doesn't fit all sometimes. I just
that's the same with Claudine. Yeah, just to say, Jane was invited, but I know that her health is less good in winter, isn't it, than it is in summer. She was more active in summer, so she did have the link for today, and I'm in touch with her at the moment. So yeah,
they are more visible. Point. They are more visible in warmer weather. The final point I was going to make as well was decolonization of queer language, and I think that ties in beautifully with the work that Alex is doing in terms of finding visual visual codification and visual language for identity, which I think is quite beautiful, because the presumption that queerness is based on Western-centric terms and Western-centric understanding of those terms belies the colonial violence that was imposed on a number of queer communities that had lexicon and representation of trans, non-binary, beautiful, across the rainbow intersection of who we are, but has been denied or suppressed under colonialism. So I think there's an exploration in terms of language that we are projecting out Western-centric terms and Western-centric queerness by default. And I think Alex finding visual narratives and visual methods of communication for that, I think, is incredibly beautiful.
Well, thank you so much, John, for sharing these thoughts with us. I think, I mean, I can completely ascribe to that. And I think in terms of language, there's so much learning that we're all needing to do. I mean, we're kind of, as a kind of queer community, I think we almost have to lead a little bit the way, because there's so much deficit, as you said, and there's and I think this yeah, it's a global phenomenon, right? So in other languages, there's no word sometimes for they. In German, for instance, I'm Austrian. There's you know, there's no equivalent to they them, and there's learning that needs to happen, and I think that stretches out to, yeah, I mean, it's not just limited to pronouns. It goes far deeper than that. Yeah.
And about pronouns, it's like I respect people that use pronouns, but me personally, I'd just rather people call me Paul. That's by preference. I'm not saying it's wrong if people want to use pronouns. I respect that, but me personally, I don't really like to use a pronoun. But each their own. You know, we're all human, but it's respecting each other.
Yeah, exactly. And in academia, I mean, I'm teaching quite a lot. I feel there's so much learning that needs to happen around pronouns. I think the kind of respect is so important. And yeah, I've myself, I prefer they them, but I'm fine with he. And I just feel sometimes, even if you say it, you find there's always these obstacles. As it's a culture that just needs to change. I just wanted to stick to the time a little bit. I think we probably should wrap. But I wanted to share this word cloud with you, which is only emergence, only coming together with a small group. But I think it's maybe a good starting point to think about future projects together. So we've got sliding scale, which I love because it's suggestive of so many different things. LGBT representation, non-binary, trans, queer, malish, spirituality, media art holograms, and disabilities.
What's that mean? Male-ish? What's that mean? I'm confused what that means.
I think it means male, but ish, not quite male.
It was me, and it's the concept that when I've been doing audience evaluation, there's so many, we're presenting with so many different boxes, and I think queer communities especially are very aware of the commercialization of our identities, and that they feed directly into funding, and that they have financial value to institutions. Therefore, when we're being presented with a series of boxes, some of those boxes simply don't meet the expectation of what we are and how we operate.
Do you mean like one box doesn't fit all, sort of thing?
Sometimes, yeah. And I think when asking people if they to self-describe rather than present a series of different boxes, one of the answers that I kept getting back was male-ish, female-ish.
Oh, okay. You just educated me something now.
And I think I found it a really emotionally honest and intelligent way of people describing the transition they feel within the space they hold of their own identity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what I'd love to do is to follow this up properly, maybe with a real invitation for to think about a participation in this exhibition. We were thinking about March Dean is a trans curator who's running Ugly Duck Space, and so currently that's the date that we have in mind. But yeah, I do want to make sure that funding is in place for this, because exhibitions
What
always
date in March?
towards the end of March, we were thinking.
That should be all right then. If it's the end of March, that'll be fine.
Alex, have you worked with Ugly Duck before? Or you know them or something? I'm sure I found out about them by you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I just
Okay,
realised my mic wasn't on.
Oh, sorry, you've responded in the
That's
chat.
yeah, on Ugly Duck, I'm very well aware of their reputation. They've got a really good reputation. They've done lots of progressive stuff for years. I might be doing something with them possibly later next year, but we're still having a chat about that. But yeah, from my friends' experiences, I'm totally.
Amazing. Yeah, they're doing a lot of amazing work with, so there's a festival that's called Disturbance that has become a little bit of a fixum. They're really, really good in terms of providing an inclusive space. And yeah, I'm very excited about working with them, but also working with you and making sure that it's not just, you know, like a storm in a water glass is like a metaphor that exists in German. I don't know if there's an expression for that in English, but there's, you know, I want it to be to hopefully to radiate and to have repercussions, and for this to be a collaborative and a collective effort and experience, and yeah, it'd be amazing to work together. So maybe if it's okay with you, I'll follow this up properly. Julie, if it's all right with you, is it okay if I share information through you? Is that all right? And then for you to disseminate it to the group, yeah, or we can
Yeah,
share
that's
email
fine. Yeah,
addresses. I'll put my email address in here just in case, so that you.
Yeah, and I've put links. I think everyone's put links and things in the chat as well. I don't know if Alex, did you want to put Instagram link or anything, or I think you've got Corinne's and Sophia's, haven't you?
Yes.
You'll have to send it in an email, because for some reason my computer's not working. It's crashing the Zoom, and then I have to struggle to get back in. I can't see them all.
Yeah, would that be okay if it's a small group, if we were to share email addresses afterwards? Would that be all right?
Absolutely fine by me.
Can I just quickly say something? You know, we're on about like people with disabilities and representation. It's like sometimes, which I'm quite open about it, sometimes I struggle to get my point across. You know what I mean? Like voicing some things in the community because of my disability. I think maybe we could link that in, obviously around disabilities and representation around LGBT. That's just from my perspective, but there could be other people out like that. Find it hard to get the point across, sort of thing.
I would love that. I think it's a really important point. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll be following up properly with like next steps and a bit of planning for next year, if that's all right. Yeah. Thank you so much, and lovely to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you for showing us the digital exhibition as well. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Olive.
Yeah, if I can help with, you know, facilitating anything like that for you, let me know. I'm here. So my email is in the chat. So
thank you.
yeah.
Julie, did you send this to Sophie, the link? Sophie, the artist, did you send her the link? Because I don't know if you put a link to her in this. I've only just realised.
Oh, I'm not sure. Olive, did you send the link to Sophie? Because we had a meeting with her, didn't we? Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we haven't heard anything from her. So, but
No,
I
I've
can
not heard
follow up
from her.
with her
No.
separately. I'll do that. For,
Maybe send her a link to the exhibition. But yeah. We'll have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to see
See
you
you all soon.
Catch up
Take care.
soon.
Have a good weekend. Bye. Bye.
Bye.